Hello, my name's Izolis, or Caffeine and Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the brand new decks out of the, as of recording, just released DZBT09 Super Brave Detonation. I'm pretty sure that's the name. I don't remember the name right now. But the deck I'm going to be talking about is Belgr the Skyruler. This is one of the decks out of Youthquake, the manga that we unfortunately don't have in English. And let's not dance around and get into it. There have been several builds floated out online. One of the biggest ones I've seen is the Mega Colony Battler build, where you just use some of the direct support and then load up the other 19 cards of your deck with the Battlers. I do think that's the most efficient build, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to stick with one that stays in archetype. So, in archetype grade 1, grade 0, and the grade 1 Belgr the Fighter, who, when it's brought upon by Belgr the Smasher, the grade 2, by discarding a card from your hand and revealing your Belgr and Ride line, you can search your deck for a grade 1 unit with 6k or less that isn't a Sentinel, and call it to Rearguard Circle, then shuffle. We'll get into the target for that in a little bit, but our grade 2, Belgr the Smasher, when it's brought upon by a Skyruler, for a single Soul Blast, you can check the top 5 cards of your deck, discard one, then add back a grade 2 or greater card to hand from drop. And then lastly, we have the man himself, Belgr the Skyruler, which, as long as your drop zone has 10 cards, it'll gain 5. If it has 20, it'll gain 15k, with an act ability to check the top 2 cards for a single counterblast and add one to hand, the other's discarded. And when he attacks, for a single counterblast, you perform either one of these skills. Either you restand one of your columns, or if you have at least 15 cards on drop, you restand every Vanguard at the end of battle. For grade 3s, I'm just on Persona Rides. There's no grade 3 Rearguard you really want to play in this build. For grade 2s, I am on 4 copies of Thruster Vixen, who, when she's placed on rear other than by a unit card's ability, she can retire another rear guard with a different name, and then search the deck or drop for a copy of herself and call it. If she does search the deck, you shuffle, obviously. And at the beginning of the battle phase, if you have a Belgr or a Skyruler Vanguard, you discard the top card of your deck, and until the end of your opponent's turn, she becomes a 15 power, 10k guard. After that, if your drop zone has 15 cards in it, she gets another +5/+5. Along with that, I'm on 4 copies of the Skyride Volume 2 promo, Deep Lands Maideth. This is the Stoicheia Teethfold. So when she's placed, as long as she wasn't placed by a unit's ability and you've played a normal order this turn, you can Soul Blast 1, check the top 5, and then you either call a card with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard, or add a normal order from amongst them to hand. And when she attacks, as long as the unit was placed from drop during this turn, for 2 energy, she picks an opponent's Rearguard and stuns it, or paralyzes it, so it can't intercept and can't restand during the next turn. At least not during the regular stand phase. And if the opponent's on grade 3 or greater, she gets an extra 5k. All of that, this deck does a lot of discarding. So I'm on one of the Stoicheia Discard Dragon from set 3, Flower Storm Dragon, who, when it's discarded from hand, as long as you have a grade 2 or greater Vanguard, for a Soul Blast, you can call it to rear, and if it's the battle phase, it can't attack when it does this. So if you discard during the main phase, you can just call him out, and he can attack. If it's during the battle phase, which won't happen, unfortunately, you just put him in the back row as a booster, because as long as your order card was put into the drop zone during the turn, it gets boost. He's mainly there as an early payoff for a lot of the discards from hand, because sometimes you don't have anything to make use of that. The deck also doesn't really use a lot of energy, so I have 2 main repeatable energy sinks in the deck. The first being the Sea Rumble Brave Shooter, the Gun Cycler, who, when discarded for Ride or placed on Guardian Circle for either CB1 or EV3, draws you a card. And when placed on rear during the turn you Persona Ride, for that same cost, you can choose a grade 2 or lower normal units and call it, as long as it's not a Sentinel, and if you pick an order from drop, you put it to hand. And then lastly, for grade 2 units, I'm on a single copy of the Mutual Feelings Maiden Pence, the Stoicheia Ace unit, who, when she's placed on rear, other than during the battle phase, for 3 energy, she gets 5k, then for 3 energy, check the top 7, discard a card, and then pick a unit from drop with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard, and call it. And along with that, when she attacks a grade 3 Vanguard, she gets 5. As long as the drop has 10 or more cards, she gets another 5. She's really good for setting up, finding more pieces, and building up your drop zone. The focus of this build is kind of building a board really fast, having that large drop zone, and punishing your opponent. For the grade 1s, the first one we're going to talk about is the in-archetype one that you're going to be searching off of our Jagra's skill, the Follower Rabbits, who during your turn gets 1k for every rearguard name with the same name, and has an auto ability that can be paid with Counterblast to 1 and discard a card that changes it from searching 1 to 3. That, when he's placed on rearguard circle, you can discard the top card of your deck. Then you reveal a grade 3 card of Skyruler from your right deck, and if you do, or if you have a Skyruler Vanguard, you can discard a card or use this alternate cost up here at the top, and either search deck or drop for a copy of him, or if you do the alternate cost, you search all 3. So that's a really good way to get 4 cards really fast into your drop zone to build it up. I don't like that it is a random mill, but that's kind of why a lot of the choices in this deck are mitigating that. I mentioned that I have 2 energy sinks in the deck. The other one is the Amicable Maiden Alvina, who on place for 3 energy, he either calls a grade 1 from drop or adds back a non-Regalis piece order, and as long as you have 4 or more units, she's a 10k. Lastly, Sentinels, Perfect Guards. Now, I'm on Maidith, so let's go ahead and talk about the orders in the deck. For the order that doesn't matter for her, my Regalis piece, I'm on Protection Twin Cast. You really do like the early, discard, and it's one that benefits from being milled, so you're not really losing anything if you end up milling it out. Other than that, I'm on 1 copy of Commander Test Restraint, which mills the top card of your deck. Then you get to choose a card with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard. Yeah, either call it if it's a unit, or put it into hand if it's a normal order that isn't Commander Test Restraint. I'm also on 2 copies of Mythiarch Habitat, which can check the top 7 cards of the deck to call a unit from them. And if you happen to see the other Habitat while searching with this, you can add that to hand. And then lastly, 1 copy of Spiritual Body Condensation, which for a single Soul Blast can choose a unit from drop with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard, call it, and give it 5k. And then for my trigger lineup, I am on 8 critical triggers. I'm on 3 of the guard fronts. The reason I'm not on soul fronts, despite the amount of soul blasting in this deck, is none of the soul blasting this deck does is actually mandatory for any of its combos. You're not really needing it to build up the drop zone or to pop off too much. A lot of it is just ways to enable it and to gain benefit. So it's not necessary. You can run the soul fronts, but you are going to be losing out on a amount of card value. I'm also on 4 regular heals, and then Uterine Stoicheia. Of course, the OT of choice is the Source Dragon Deity of Blessings, Blessed Favor, who its additional skill copies all 4 regular triggers: front, draw, crit, and heal. But that is my Belgr, the Skyruler list. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you thought this list was kind of neat, anything, do all the YouTube shit, like, comment, subscribe, everything like that. And I'll see y'all next time. Ciao.